Hi there. How's your money? Back again with yours truly, Cryptoella. In today's video, we're going to talk about NFT games. Especially play-to-earn games that you should anticipate the most for the upcoming year. Fueled by the success of Axie Infinity, NFT gaming is experiencing explosive growth. More releases and, above all, exponential growth in the number of players. And the whole space isn't sitting still. The new generation of games is moving away from collectibles, edging closer to traditional games in both visuals and gameplay. Let's take a look into the future. Here are 10 upcoming NFT games to watch out for, arranged in no specific order. Number 1. The Sandbox Open World Blockchain Game. We can consider this the sequel to two popular mobile games. The first one is The Sandbox, which was released in 2011, and The Sandbox Evolution, which was released in 2016. This latest game is a whole new gaming ecosystem built on the Ethereum. The goal of the developers is to disrupt game makers like Minecraft and Roblox by providing creators true ownership of their creations as non-fungible tokens. Most of the assets on the Sandbox metaverse will be NFTs that can be sold, traded, or rented out. The lands, avatars, monsters, weapons, and even the mini-games in it. Everyone can build and mint them into the game. If you're interested, 2 free tools are now available. First is VoxEdit, a 3D voxel editor for creating in-game assets. Second is GameMaker, a visual scripting tool that simplifies the development of 3D games. There are some really huge gaming companies that have actually bought a ton of land in the Sandbox. For example, Atari has bought up a huge portion of land in the Sandbox itself. Now, even though the Sandbox hasn't been officially released yet, if you download the level editor, you may try out some of the levels that other people have already created. We don't know the exact date the game will launch. But looking at its roadmap, the Sandbox should be available before the year ends. Number 2. Guild of Guardians. Developed by Stepico, Guild of Guardians is a fantasy and action-themed mobile RPG multiplayer game. Guild of Guardians is a free-to-play mobile RPG set in a world inspired by Diablo and D&D. Players build a team of heroes to raid dungeons, kill monsters, and gather loot. Information on deeper gameplay mechanics is limited. What we do know is that heroes will be in familiar classes: warrior, ranger, and mage. Traditional roles such as tanks, healers, DPS, and support will be available for players to choose from. It allows its players to take teams of heroes through dungeon runs to collect resources, which are then used to create valuable items and heroes sold for real money. Dungeons that offer the most rewards are also the hardest. The best way to clear them is to team up with other players. Guild of Guardians is being developed with play-to-earn in mind. By playing, you earn non-tradable common heroes. You can then merge these common heroes into a rare one that is stored on the blockchain, thus freely tradable. You can also craft tradable blockchain items from loots. However, it is noted that the mobile game is level-based and will not feature open-world gameplay. Guild of Guardians will have systems for players seeking to earn, which covers summoning, merging, character ascension, and crafting. Its in-game currency, GEMS, is an ERC20 token issued on Ethereum and will be tradable by anyone for ETH. A soft launch is scheduled in early 2022, followed by beta later that same year. Full release of Guild of Guardians is slated for 2023. Number 3. Ember Sword. Developed by Bright Star Studios Limited, Ember Sword is a free-to-play MMORPG that takes place in a player-driven dystopian fantasy universe with a classless and fast-paced combat system. Not to worry, it will also be featuring PvE experiences. It starts like any MMORPG. You create a character and start exploring the world, raid dungeons, kill monsters and bosses, gather loots, and more. Blockchain integration comes in various forms. You can own a piece of land that you're free to develop, build, and earn from. The game will be using Ethereum to power its cosmetic items and land ownership, which can be traded for currency when converted. However, since it is wrapped in Ethereum, the company stated that they would only accept USDC and have Polygon run its gas prices. It's built on the promise of steering clear of pay-to-win mechanics that plague both MMOs and blockchain games. The company stated that Ember Sword would be released on PC first with plans to extend to mobile, hopefully featuring crossplay between the platforms. Ember Sword will be playable on a browser or as a standalone client, with plans for mobile support. Testing of the game's tech is scheduled for later this year. Ember Sword is currently in its pre-alpha stage, accessible to limited players, but has plans to be released by early 2022. Number 4. Illuvium. Illuvium is an open-world fantasy battle game built entirely on the Ethereum blockchain. If you know what CryptoKitties are, Illuvium is its upgraded version, created with high-quality 3D art. This game is an auto-battler and RPG rolled into one. Illuvium is set on a planet ravaged by radiation that mutated its inhabitants into powerful creatures known as Illuvial. You play as a hunter and your mission is to uncover the mysteries of this planet. Explore, mine, harvest, fight, and capture Illuvial. Players can capture Illuvials by beating them in battle, and then nursing them back to health. Each Illuvials is also an NFT, with all creatures being restricted to a limited number. This is a freemium game. The free-to-play sections introduce you to the basics. To collect NFTs and access the game in all its promised glory, you need to pay. ETH is used for all in-game purchases, and the fees will be sent to the Illuvium Vault. The Illuvium Exchange is its online marketplace governed by the Illuvium DAO, for players to buy and sell all in-game NFTs. As for play-to-earn, rewards are given to players to compete and win in tournaments or PvE quests. There might be more ways to earn, like mining, crafting, or selling Illuvials. We'll have to wait for the official announcements. The game has been in development since 2020 and was created by more than 40 professionals with experience across gaming and cryptocurrency. The game's white paper states that it will undergo its private beta launch by October and will have its mobile release by 2022. Number 5. Axie Lunacia. Lunacia is the upcoming expansion to the Axie Infinity universe. There's not much to say about Axie Infinity, except for the fact that until now, it is the #1 play-to-earn game that popularized blockchain NFT gaming worldwide. Basically, this expansion is all about land gameplay. Lunacia is what they call the world where the Axies resides. Axies are fantasy creatures that inhabit Lunacia, an open world owned, operated, and controlled by players. In this game's story, Lunacia is under attack, and it's up to you and your Axies to fight off creatures called Chimera, while rebuilding and strengthening the kingdom. Lunacia is divided into tokenized plots of land, called Terra, which can be purchased, rented out, and developed by players. Landholders can upgrade and customize their territory to host shops or markets, Chimera summoning beacons, and even act as access points for dungeons. Resources will spawn in nodes across Lunacia and be used to upgrade both land and Axies. Landholders will have first rights to any resources that spawn on their land. The land sale will consist of 4 different phases. 25% of the available plots can be purchased in the first sale. Every item and structure in Lunacia has a space requirement. Some require 1 block of land while others require more space and resources to build. Initial gameplay in Lunacia will involve sending teams of 3 Axies on resource gathering and Chimera hunting expeditions. The resources earned from these adventures will all be represented as ERC20 tokens. Some resources will be quite common, while others will have limited supplies and only drop very rarely or from very powerful Chimera. The resources can then be used to build structures, upgrade Axies, and buy an assortment of goods from markets and shops. The Lunacia SDK is currently in development, and an alpha version is expected to be released in 2022. Number 6. Big Time. This is, currently, one of the most hyped games in the space. It's an online co-op action RPG being developed by industry veterans who worked on AAA games like Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, and Fortnite. Big Time is an adventure across history. Your mission is to uncover the menace that's ripping time apart. 3 playable classes have been revealed: the Shadowblade, which is described as part ninja, part hacker, the Chronomancer, which is a spellcaster, and the Time Warrior, the melee hero. Details are sparse. What we know is that dungeons will be procedurally generated. Some loot will be non-fungible tokens. Players will also own their own space called Time Machine. It will serve as a personal hub to showcase your NFTs and hang out with friends. Collectible cards and VIP passes were sold to the community last month. The passes grant owners early access to the game. It's sold out, but you can buy them on the secondary market if you're willing to pay the markup. Development on Big Time is underway for PC, with an announcement for the beta coming later this year. They expect the game to launch in 2022. Number 7. Mirandus. Mirandus is a fantasy MMORPG that is developed by Gala Games. Gala Games has revealed that their upcoming online role-playing game Mirandus will be played from a first-person perspective. According to Gala Games, this will increase immersion and add an extra dimension to the concept of digital ownership. However, some elements, like for example managing the layout of a village or outpost, will still happen from a bird's-eye view. Up until now, Mirandus has always been presented with a top-down view. We've seen a couple of work-in-progress screenshots depicting a village and a forest. Therefore, seeing Mirandus switch to a first-person view is a bit of a surprise. Players and contributors own every item in the game, including weapons, tents, shops, and cities. Furthermore, it is advertised to have the player's decisions affect the game, creating an environment built by only its players. Players can own lands in Mirandus, and all ownership of digital assets in the game is stored on the Gala blockchain. When Mirandus launches, there will be 5 citadels. These give the owner the right to create and lead their own faction, charge taxes on trade, and so on. Owning a piece of land provides a safe haven for other players, and potentially a way to make money. Together with the developers, the owners of these citadels can design their own layout for their city. Interest in Mirandus has been increasing since Gala Games partnered with Polyant Games and sold their first citadel for $800,000. The first playable version of Mirandus will arrive by the end of this year, and that will probably be a very limited test version. We expect Mirandus to reach its fruition not earlier than 2022, as Gala Games still has a lot of work to do on creating gameplay and implementing economical layers for landowners and adventurers alike. Number 8. Fortified. Fortified is a browser, tower defense game on Gala Games. In-game, players will be able to compete with one another in building the best defenses they can. They can butt heads with one another either on their own land or in neutral territory. The towers and land in the game itself are NFTs. Players will be rewarded for successfully defending their land. You can also level up your NFT towers. Player ownership of assets is important for the game because it may provide additional perks that the default towers cannot provide, such as Arrow Tower, which is currently at 0.012 ETH. However, it is noted that players without land or NFTs will still participate and compete for a chance at the prize pool. It will be released on the Gala Games platform. Number 9. Star Atlas. This is a grand strategy game to challenge EVE Online. Set 600 years into the future, 3 galactic factions compete for influence, territories, and resources. Players take part in this war for power. But it's not all conflict. Space exploration will sit at the core of Star Atlas. Players are meant to pilot ships into unknown sectors to discover assets that can be mined, refined, and traded. They can also take the role of the many professions the game offers, from bounty hunter to CEO. It will be a whole new metaverse complete with its own economics, politics, and, of course, wars. All these are built using Unreal Engine 5. And it will run on top of Solana, a blockchain protocol capable of 50,000 transactions per second. It's an ambitious project, for sure, and it will take some time before we get to play it. To the impatient, the team will release a browser-based minigame in the coming months. Number 10. Myst. Myst is an open-world, action RPG that embraces blockchain. There are different character classes, quests, dungeon raids, pets, crafting, and PvP battles. The game uses the Myst token as its in-game currency. How this token is used sets it apart from most items on this list. Players earn Myst rewards by killing monsters, completing quests, selling NFT drops, and more. Then there's the decentralized finance, or DeFi way. You can earn Myst tokens by buying and farming on lands in the game, or buying actual in-game businesses. These are the open alternative ways to play the game, like that of a farmer or a businessman, instead of just rampaging like any RPG hero. Myst is expected to launch on Steam sometime in 2022. And there you have it, a list of upcoming blockchain games to look out for. So if you have been itching to jump on the wagon before it starts rolling, you might want to check these out. And that is all the info regarding our beloved NFT and crypto world from yours truly, Cryptoella. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and be sure to subscribe, share, and write a comment down below. Have a good day.